Good afternoon. There we go. A couple of days ago, I read in the Globe and Mail the average income of the top 10% of Canadians in 2008 was $103,500, 10 times that of the bottom 10%, who had an average income of $10,260, an increase from a ratio of 8 to 1 in the early 1990s. Thank you for coming and welcome. We're here today to have a discussion on what does Occupy mean to business and how should business respond. We're delighted to see you all here. Just to set a little bit of a stage for what's to follow. Not too long ago, I read a book by Robert Reich called Aftershock. Do any of you know that book? Okay. Basically, Robert Reich, and that's him in the upper right-hand corner. He was the Secretary of Labor in the Clinton administration, astute writer, economic observer. In that book, he had a couple graphs, and I've reproduced them. On the left, I'd like you to look at the line for the top 1% share of total income. And on the left, look at two lines, the gap between them, because that's the growth of average hourly compensation and productivity. Productivity on top, compensation on bottom. This one statement, in many ways, sets the stage for the discussion we'd like to have today. In that book, Reich says, our history is not quite a pendulum because we never return exactly to where we were before. It's more like a spiral in which we arrive at roughly the same points but at different altitudes and with some different perspectives. Yet each turn of the spiral gives rise to similar questions about the nature and purpose of an economy. How much inequality can be tolerated? When bets go sour and the economy nosedives, who gets bailed out and who are left to fend for themselves? At what point does an economy imperil itself politically as large numbers conclude that the game is rigged against them? Most fundamentally, what and who is an economy for? We're here today to talk about Occupy, and Occupy means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, depends on who you ask last. So earlier this week, I went for coffee with Alex Patterson, one member of the Occupy Winnipeg group, and we chatted a bit about what Occupy meant and why it happened, and I asked him and wrote down his answer. Why did Occupy happen? His answer, just to set a little bit of a stage, we believe the system is being gutted from the inside. Occupy reflects major dissatisfaction with the results of the response to the economic crisis. We weren't aware how bad it was. People were willing to suck it up if it benefited them, but now it's the third world suffering plus us. Now it's different. Occupy is a meeting point for a lot of people who haven't been struggling together. Well, the question we want to ask, a couple questions, the main ones. First off, according to this picture, 951 cities in 82 countries had Occupy happen. What did Occupy mean? And secondly, given that we're in the School of Business, what, if anything, does Occupy mean for business? This is one response that we've undertaken. In many ways, it was launched and begun, this panel this afternoon and yesterday's at 177 Lombard by Professor Hari Bapuji, who not too long ago contributed to Managerial Conversation on an HBR blog on Occupy Wall Street, what businesses need to know. And this is one of the responses that's been happening here at the Asper School of Business, just to highlight a few others, not only contributing to current managerial conversations like this one, also making leading edge. We've been seeking to make leading edge scholarly contributions on issues relevant to business as well as society, including issues of product safety, design flaws, more effective recall strategies. We've responded by seeking to facilitate classroom conversations on some of the issues represented here, leading public conversations on things like economic inequality in business through panel discussions, the one yesterday and the one today. And let me also mention that there will be an internet forum coming out of today's event in which this session will be available to watch online. Today we're going to have a discussion, though, just a little bit about the format. I'll be moderating it. It'll run for approximately 90 minutes. We'll seek to end close to or shortly before 4 o'clock. We have 5 panelists with us this afternoon. Each will have about 7-8 minutes, a minute or two for clarification questions you might have. And after we've heard from the first 4, we're going to have a general time of dialogue, and then our president will offer his comments concerning what he sees in terms of this issue. And I'd also like to note that this will be videotaped and available on a website, and you can follow up with us later in terms of the specifics of that. Radhika Desai is our first speaker, and she is a professor of political studies here at the University of Manitoba. And just to give you a little bit of an idea, the questions we've asked her to think about is what are the key trends related to economic inequality in the world, particularly the developed world? And what is the effect of economic inequality on human development? Hari Bapuji, associate professor here at the Asper School, will follow. He'll be speaking on the relationship between business and economic inequality and what businesses might do to manage the effects of inequality on them. Brent Bailey, Asper MBA. He is with the Winnipeg Foundation, Manager of Advisory Services, and he'll be talking about how businesses are experiencing economic inequality insofar as it connects to what the Winnipeg Foundation is involved in and what they're seeking to accomplish. Rick Workman, former executive with IBM Consulting, big supporter of the Asper School for many years. I've asked him to comment on what he sees going on in terms of how economic inequality is affecting business and what, if anything, businesses should do about it. Dr. Bernard, the University of Manitoba president, is our final speaker. He'll be listening to what's going on, and in about the last 20 minutes, we're going to ask for his comments in terms of what he hears, and based on the discussion he heard, what he sees as the key reason why businesses should or should not address economic inequality, and also what researchers, educators, and managers might do with respect to this issue. That's our format. Let's begin.